homes anymore. Behind the shuttered windows, they looked out through the slats with hate. At me, at the Druid. They thought I was to blame, that I had a hand in this. I suppose it didn't help that I was the one pulling the chain, the long silver tether that connected my wrist to their queen. Queen Cathene stumbled behind us, an obsidian collar wrapped tightly around her delicate throat. Now and then she would falter and fall, but for her safety as much as mine, I would tug on the chain to keep her moving. I'd learned my lesson as to what happened when I tried to help her stand. She had angry welts across her shoulders and back as proof. They'd healed since Gordex had gifted them to Cathene, but it was obvious no one had helped clean them out since my outbursts. If I had just acted calm, she would never have been punished. Gordex never hurt me as punishment, not since the first time. It was always Queen Cathene after that. So, as she stumbled again, I pulled gently and silently urged her to keep up. This had been our routine for Gordex since he conquered the city. After the first 2 weeks, time seemed to just bleed together in the City of Light. It was more aptly referred to as the City of Death by Gordex. My City of Death, he would laugh, hands rubbing together greedily. It started with a morning feast accompanied by Gordex and Marvel, where they would bask in their destruction, a feast that I would usually sit and watch. Food was never brought out to me when I was with them both. Only scraps would be left in my room at the end of the day. What would follow their morning feast was the parade through the city of Lilioira, a reminder to those civilians who hid in their houses that the Druid had won, using Queen Cathene as a means of getting his message across. Then Marvel would leave for the gates, Gordex would retreat into the libraries, and I would hide myself in my room, hoping, wishing to hear something from my friends. But with each day that passed, that hope dwindled down to a dim glow. I did wonder what Gordex was looking for. Something to combat the looming threats from the shores of Thessalina and Morgatis, perhaps? There was tension brewing around the city. I could tell in the constant pinch of Gordex's brows when we spoke of what his scouts saw during breakfast. He always kept his words brief around me, but there was an unspoken look between Marvel and him when I would leave the room, a look that suggested there was more story to tell. "Out my way!" Marvel hissed. I'd stood on the back of her foot and almost tripped to the floor over my own weak, clumsy legs. I cocked my gaze away from Marvel's intense glare and took steps back, mumbling my apology. Our parade had come to a stop. Strange, it never happened around this part of the city. We were standing beside the remains of the water fountain. It had been destroyed during Marvel's free reign of destruction during the first days, when the city was a playground. The stone woman no longer had a head. Instead, it lay at her cracked feet in 2 pieces, each eye looking in a different direction than the other.
"Well, this is a surprise. Pray tell, what brings you out of your watchholes today?"
Gordex's voice was steady, unlike my hands, that shook fiercely at the thick tension in the air. My air. There was some commotion ahead, no more than muffled words that lacked confidence as they were tossed towards Gordex. I peered over Marvel's shoulder to get a better look, and spotted a small group of civilians standing in the Druid's way. I counted 5.
It's time you leave,"
a younger elven boy called, stumbling over his words. He stood at the front of the group, hands held behind his back. His chest was pushed forward, his chin held high. For such a youngling, there was nothing but bravery in his stance, but his tone seemed to lack it.
"Very brave of you to stand forward and command me within my own city,"
Gordex said, taking steps toward the line of 5. 2 shadow beings went to follow him, but he raised a hand and they stopped.
"Each day I